Hey everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Axanar Confidential. I am Alec Peters, and we have had a busy week with lots of Star Trek news. And tonight we have a special guest, Jonathan Lane of Fan Film Factor, who's a good friend of Axanar's and the number one blogger on Star Trek fan films in the universe. He's the big cheese. So first we're going to talk a little bit. There's, if you haven't joined us either for Real Trek on Friday or for our Super Bowl show on Sunday, we're going to cover a couple things. First of all, Discovery. The rumors continue that Discovery has been canceled and not going to be back for season 3. That is quite possible. I don't know. I mean, I told everyone to go and check out Gary Buechler's neurotic.com. Check out his video on this subject, because he's the man. He kind of broke it with someone else, Mecha Random. And Gary has sources. And so anyway, I would say at this point it's up in the air. We don't know. One of the things I've talked about is there were a lot of high hopes for episode 2 of season 2, which was New Eden, which I really liked. I thought it was a great episode. Others, I think a lot of people felt it was a good episode, but I think there was a lot of there was some consternation there. But overall a good show, a good show, and it kind of got back to what Star Trek really was. So we're all hopeful, like, if they're taking a turn for the better, this could really be, maybe this is season 4 of Enterprise, right? When all of a sudden you knew that everything was different, that, they brought in Manny Koto and life was different on season 4 of Enterprise. We're all thinking, wow, Kurtzman took over as showrunner, maybe he can do it. And then season 3 dropped and boom. Episode 3. And people were not impressed. I think episode 3 was being offered free on YouTube, is what my understanding was. I haven't. Episode 1 was being offered on YouTube, but episode 3 has just gotten really bad reviews. Really bad. I listened to Gary and Erotic, and I listened to a couple others, and from what they're telling me, I'm like, I'm dreading actually going to have to watch it. So anyway, that's where we are. So, is it canceled? We don't know. I'm not going to speculate. I think if it is canceled, are they then pinning their hopes on the Picard series? Is that the idea? Or is CBS under new management going to say, Alex Kurtzman, thank you, but we're done. We're going in a different direction, right? I think that's quite possible as well. And here's the thing. As I said before, Alex Kurtzman isn't a Star Trek guy. He's an accomplished filmmaker, right? But he's not a Star Trek guy. And that's the problem. And, you can't have the Kevin Feige of Star Trek not being a Marvel guy and not being a Star Trek guy, right? Kevin Feige is a Marvel guy. He worked in Marvel for years. He knew those movies. He was there when the bad movies were being made, right? Go back and look back at Daredevil and Punisher. His name's on all of them, right? He's a Marvel guy. He's a geek. Alex Kurtzman, he's not a Star Trek guy. So as much as I respect him as a filmmaker, I think if you're going to run Star Trek, you need to be a Star Trek guy. And, CBS made a bad call in Alex Kurtzman, in my opinion. They had Brian Fuller, and that wasn't good enough for him. And that was a mistake, because Brian Fuller knew Star Trek. So anyway, we'll see what happens. That story will continue to develop. We'll talk about it on Real Trek this week. And so we will see. And then, let's go here. And then the other continuing storyline of season 2 of Discovery is that I still can't stand Michael Burnham. I just cannot stand that character. She's a very accomplished actor. And what's strange is I like so many of the other characters. Like Tilly, like Saru, kind of liked a lot of the British crew. I really want to know more about them. I loved Lorca. You know, but Burnham, you know, just the changes they've made continue to haunt us. Anyway, so that's a current Star Trek news. And people keep asking, well, what about Quentin Tarantino? Because we know Star Trek 4 is dead at Paramount. Paramount's going through a lot of changes, so we don't know what's going to happen. Is Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek going to come about? Not unless he can do it for about $125 million. That's my guess. Maybe 150, but I doubt it. I don't think they can make a Star Trek movie that's over 125 and expect to make money. So we'll see. So that's where we are for now. So let's say hi to everyone. Seeing some of our regulars here. Thank you very much. And Trek guy's only like a Marvel guy directing a DC flick. Tragic. Yeah, listen, I'm a Marvel guy. You don't want me directing a DC movie. Well, you don't want me directing any movie. But if I was directing, you don't want me doing it in the DC universe because I don't understand the subtleties of Clark and Bruce and Diana and their relationships and right. Not my thing. Stick to your core competencies, people. Trey McElween, Axanar Comics is here. Thank you so much, Trey, as always, for being you. Trey has been instrumental in us helping the Texas puppies that some of you know about. If you've been following us here, you know about the Texas puppies that we rescued. I'm going to talk a little after we get done with Jonathan and we kick him back to the street corner. We'll talk a little bit about the puppies and try and raise some more money. We're out shipping stuff out today. Thank you so much. So I'm not even going to pretend. Zama by God says Star Trek is about money now. Roddenberry is the heart and soul of Star Trek. The money men have taken over. Okay, I'm not going to necessarily agree with you on that. And let me just tell you, you know, by the time of TNG, Roddenberry had lost his touch. Let me just tell you, he had lost it. And I think he was more worried about the money men than real Star Trek. He had gotten into this whole utopian bullshit where there was no conflict on the Enterprise. Hey, listen, drama is conflict, right? Conflict is drama. You have to take that out of your bridge crew, and it's real boring. So, Captain Garth rocks. John Galt, 857. Thank you so much. I read. Let me tell you, John Galt of Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. Let me tell you, I read Atlas Shrugged in a weekend. Yes, you may find that hard to believe, but when it was like 1982, 83, and I was working down on Wall Street, and this hot secretary was talking about it, and I'd been telling her for months I was going to read Atlas Shrugged, and she said, "You'll never read it." This was a Friday. She said, "You'll never read it." I said, "I'll read it this weekend." She said, "You can't read it in a weekend." I said, "I bet I can," and so she bet me $100 and dinner at the restaurant of my choice if I won. Loser or whoever won the bet got the dinner at the restaurant of their choice. So her name was Cindy. Oh, she was so smoking. And anyway, I got home. I started reading Atlas Shrugged. I was like, "Mom and Dad, don't bother me. I'm reading Atlas Shrugged all weekend." And I read it the entire weekend. I took it into the bathroom. I took very short showers. I would eat and I'd be reading it. And I finished it on the subway on the way in that morning. And it was she was amazed. She was impressed. So anyway, my Atlas Shrugged story. Okay. Pagley says, what about Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness? He wrote those, meaning Alex Kurtzman. How much more Trek can you be? Okay, let's face it. The Star Trek in those two movies was Robert Orci. It wasn't Alex Kurtzman. The whole thing about a parallel timeline was Robert Orci saying to JJ, "You got to do this so the fans, you know, will be okay with it." And that was the thing that made me okay with it. So Robert Orci was the Star Trek in those movies. And besides, Star Trek Into Darkness sucks. Let's just be clear. It was horrendous. I mean, it's like a beautiful movie, but it's just a poorly written movie. Raymond Moore, Alec, I'm still defending Axanar against the trolls. Well, that's why we have our next guest on, Jonathan Lane. So I'm going to bring Jonathan on here. So let me get to our Jonathan. And here he is, Jonathan Lane, Fan Film Factor. Let's make him bigger, at least as big as me. If not bigger, we'll make you a little bigger, Jonathan, since you're the guest. How's that?
There we go.
Welcome, Jonathan. It's great having you aboard. This is why you need high-speed internet, Jonathan, so you can do interviews like this. I up my internet from 30 megs up and down to 1,000 megs up and down, just so I could do this show. And I only get like 200, 300, but still, it's enough. So anyway, so how are you doing? How's Jaden?
How's Jaden? Well, you know what? Jaden actually wants me to do him a favor. He wants me to give a shout out to his new YouTube channel.
Oh my God! Okay.
Yeah, I know. Now he doesn't have any videos on it yet, so I'm giving a shout out to a YouTube channel that does not exist. I mean, it does exist. I set him up for one. It's called J-DEN, Jden. But anyway, he wants that shout out. Jaden, I just gave you the shout out.
Now go to sleep.
Oh, right here. Hey, come here. Where are you?
Now, if you guys don't know, Jaden is Jonathan's son. There he is. Hey, Jaden, how you doing? You been good?
He's been very good.
Good,
actually. We had a wonderful joke that Jaden made the other day when I was making him a cheese sandwich, and I sort of screwed up the first piece of cheese, and I said, "Do you want this piece of cheese for breakfast?" And he said, "No." So I put the cheese down. I said, "Okay, well, then the cheese stands alone." And then Jaden said,
"Correction, the cheese stands provolone."
I'm so proud of him.
Pretty good, Jaden. That's a good one. Okay, get out of here. Go to bed.
It's only about 6:14 out here, by the way.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, it's early there. So go eat your dinner, Jaden.
No, I can't eat his dinner until I feed him. It's going to be about an hour, so I got a hard stop.
So
anyway, yes. So there you go. One of Axanar's biggest fans, my son.
Yes, we love Jaden. Jaden, of course, got to go on the bridge when we were out in
Valencia. Yes.
Oh, hold on. Where is it?
Oh, I think Alec is going to bring up the photos that I sent him earlier on today.
Hold on.
Maybe.
Oh, what happened? OBS just quit on me.
Oh.
Where is my well, it looks like we're still online. Still, there we are. Oh. Boom. I'm learning something new every day with this program. Just as I thought I was getting good at it. So, all right. So, let's shut off. Let me shut off my computer sound. So tell us what are we in for here? What are we going to talk about tonight, Jonathan? Because listen, there's a million things that you and I could talk about with fan films. Temporal Anomaly just came out. Sam Cocking's epic Star Trek fan film in the making for years, and he's all proud of it. And I watched it the other day with Dale Simpson, and we enjoyed it. It was good and it was interesting premise, nice twist in there. That was good. So we're gonna you and I can always talk about the best fan films of all time. That's another topic that we could talk about. So there's lots of things to talk about. But I know you have an agenda. You've thought about this a lot more than I have. So
somebody had to prepare.
Go to it.
Well, here's the thing. I saw a couple of weeks ago a whole bunch of different posts by the detractors that said, "Oh, look, slow lane or precious lane or whatever I am now, he's biased. He signed an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. Alec Peters approves everything he writes about Axanar. He's not objective." Like, of course I'm not objective. I've been the biggest Axanar cheerleader. I started out as an Axanar groupie in January of 2014. You not only had me at Hello, you had me before Hello. It's January of 2014. You hadn't even done your first Kickstarter yet. And I was contacting you because I wanted the Starfleet International Fan Club to be like, your official fan club partner.
Right, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah. I emailed you, Mr. Peters, is it okay if we did? And he was like, give me a call. Here's my number. And
if I had just known what I know now.
Yeah, seriously. So anyway, I was there at the very beginning, and for me, Axanar, and what I was thinking of is, why have I stuck with Axanar? Because I know a lot of key people, as Carlos Pedraza likes to say, the key people have left, and you know what? Some key people have left. Some key people have stayed along, and some new key people have come in. With Carlos, it's always the negative. It's always
and we should listen. Not everyone knows about the detractors, because really the detractors are this minority of a minority that they represent a fraction. I think at best case scenario they're like less than 1% of all. Yeah. Anyone. I mean, just look at the numbers on Prelude to Axanar and the 57,000 thumbs up versus the less than 1,000 thumbs down. So you and I are in the trenches with Axanar every day and with fan films, so we know there are people out there that don't like me, don't like Axanar. But the fans, I mean, listen, when I go to a convention and talk to fans, they don't know who Carlos Pedraza is. They don't know who my cyber stalker Sean O'Halloran is. They don't know that there's this huge little, what is the 115 people who are just obsessed with taking down Axanar, which is pathological and sick, but whatever. Most people don't know that. So you always have to preface it like, look, there's this blog out there that does nothing but talk shit about Axanar. It's in 3 years, this guy, Carlos Pedraza, who is a blogger, he's not a journalist, let's just be clear, has lied about Axanar and made up crap and just put us in the most negative light possible, has never said one positive thing. And he leads this little tribe of haters who congregate on this Facebook group. And we're not even going to tell you where it is, because don't go searching for it. It's people who go there, running out, screaming, going, those people are insane. But there's this little group, and they love talking shit about us, and they love saying, oh, Axanar scam people, and Alec stole money, and he spent it all on sushi and tires, and just this ridiculous nonsense. So anyway, that's who Jonathan is talking about. And I always say to Jonathan, there's such an insignificant portion of the internet. Just, it's ridiculous. And if you look at Jonathan's website numbers, they're fantastic. And, the haters are just crawling along the ground. So anyway, there you go. That's a little preface for you.
That was a little preface. Well, what I was going to say is that, the thing about Carlos and a lot of the detractors is they are determined to draw the cloud around the silver lining. They are determined to snatch defeat from the claws of victory. And what had happened, I said, a couple of weeks ago, they were all like, hey, Lane is biased. Like, well, of course I'm biased. I spent 3 hours debating with another detractor, Matt Miller from Australia. And that was a 3-part podcast that I had no idea was going to go on for 3 hours, but it did. Where basically I schooled him.
You annihilated him, because every one of the bullshit hater tropes that they rolled out, you knew they were coming, because he's not a really smart guy, right? And you've heard it all before. I mean, we know what the haters say, and it's the same bullshit all the time. And you had your facts, and you were like, wrong.
Well, like, folks, here's a for instance. His very first question was about how most of the people had left after Prelude when Alec, started the studio. And I said, well, most, in my opinion, most would be at least 50%. And I then proceeded to go through the credits. And there were 5 key people. Todd left, and Terry McIntosh, who, less said of him the better, left. And, there were a couple others that kind of left along the way. And 15 people stayed. So we had basically a 3-to-1 ratio of staying versus leaving. So in my opinion, I had most. He didn't have most. And so I said, so don't use the word most. And it was, from that point on, it was essentially just schooling Matt and the other detractors, who have these ongoing arguments about Alec, and he did this and he did this, and the guidelines are all Alec's fault, and the guidelines are not Alec's fault, by the way, because Axanar was already in court, so there's no reason for the guidelines to stop Axanar. Axanar being in court, one of 3 things was going to happen: either Alec was going to win, in which case the guidelines wouldn't have stopped Axanar because the court would have said you can make this. Possibility number 2, CBS would win, in which case Axanar would be annihilated. It would never happen. You wouldn't need the guidelines. Or possibly number 3, there would be a settlement which would trump any guidelines anyway. So the guidelines were not written to stop Axanar. They were written to stop the other fan films that were still going like gangbusters. Renegades had $850,000 by that point. They didn't cross $1 million first. Axanar got sued. If it hadn't been Renegades, it might have been Star Trek Continues or Star Trek New Voyages. So anyway, there's all these rumors and stuff, but the biggest thing that they were all about was, Jonathan isn't objective. It's like, well, no, I never said I was objective. I have a horse in this race. And I've had a horse in this race literally before the beginning. And so why have I stuck with Axanar all this time? Because, one of the up and coming fan film directors, he's a really great guy. His name is Josh Irwin, and he's doing the Avalon universe. And Josh, he did Ghost Ship, if you saw that on Halloween. It was sort of Star Trek meets The Walking Dead. He just did Avalon Lost, where he kills off his Michael J. Fox impersonator captain, and he gets a new captain. These things happen. Both are excellent fan films. He's about to start crowdfunding a new fan film, by the way. So if you see a crowdfunder for Avalon Universe, go and give them money, because this guy is awesome. And he posted something a few days ago, and I don't have a link to it. I'm just going to have to try to remember and paraphrase it. But it said, in today's world, in social media, it's easy to hate. And it's easy to abandon your friends out of fear that the hatred for them will spill over to you. The hardest thing to do right now is to stand up for your friends, especially when that hatred spills over to you. And that's what happened when I started standing up for Alec and for Axanar, but specifically for my friend Alec. I earned the ire of the haters, or detractors as I call them. I don't call them haters because I don't know what's in their hearts. I just know what they do. Detraction is an action. Hate is an emotion. I don't know the emotion. But, they call me Slow Lane. They call me Precious Lane. I don't know what else they call me. They have such vitriol, and they talk about, various parts of Alec's anatomy and various parts of my anatomy. In fact, even yesterday, as recently as yesterday, somebody told me I'd never even met this guy before, an IM came in from somebody I never met before and said, just so you know, Alec Peters will never keep any promise he ever makes, ever. And I said back to him, I said, he's never broken the promise he's made to me, and we've known each other for 5 years. He's made quite a number of promises. But these guys are just coming out, and then the guy says, well, then maybe you should marry him. So it's not like standing up for Alec Peters is easy. So I'm still here. Yeah. And I'm out there, and I'm writing positive stuff about Axanar despite all of the stuff coming in. So when I thought about what to talk about, Alec asked me to be a guest. I said, you know what? Why don't I talk about why I'm still here? After all the slings and arrows that get shot at me almost daily, why do I keep coming back for the abuse? Alec, why?
Well,
you're not answering. I guess you're waiting for me.
Yeah, and listen, we appreciate it. I think the thing that amazes me, and it's a symptom of what's going on in the country. The thing that amazes me is the ignorance of people who want to be critical of Axanar, and it is ignorance because they hear something they read something on the internet. And then that's their reality. No research, no anything. Oh, you read it on the internet. It must be true, right? So your friend says, well, Axanar, whatever, made a profit. Alec was making a profit. That's why CBS sued him. We hear that all the time. That's bullshit. CBS told us why they sued us. They sued us because we looked too good. And they told us, we didn't sue you after Prelude because we weren't that worried. Then we saw the Vulcan scene and we knew we couldn't let you go on. Almost exactly what John Van Sitter said in his deposition, right? And so what happens is people don't bother. I keep telling people I got 5 years of blog articles on our website. You want to find out what happened with our financials? Go read. It's all out there. You want to find out why it's taken so long to get around? Well, go read. Well, all the information is there. But people would rather they would rather sit in their ignorance, and that's, well, okay. You're just going to sit in that, and it's not going to do you any good, right? You're not going to learn anything. So anyway, that's my take. I'm always amazed. I don't judge things that I don't have information about. But the internet everyone thinks they're an expert on everything now.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, before I go into why I'm still here, I want to share with you one more detractor joke. And if it's funny, I want everybody to go to the Patreon page, and I want everybody to sign up. You don't talk about the Patreon page enough in these podcasts, Alex. So let everybody know that there's a link to the Patreon. It's right there in the description, or you just go to patreon.com /Aries Studios. But right now, I'm just going to do a little head count here. Patreon.com /Aries Studios. Those are two S's in the middle. We have 139 patrons right now, giving us $1,256 a month. So I want to see at least a couple more patrons on there if they like this joke. Okay? Ready, everybody? Ready, Alec?
All right.
All right, here we go. How many Axanar detractors does it take to change a light bulb?
God. Well, my guess is, I don't know. My guess is none. They'd rather complain about it.
It's a trick question. It doesn't matter because they will never see the light.
All right.
I have to thank John A. Kraft for that. He sent that on Facebook this morning, so I just want to thank him. That was a very funny joke. All right, so go. If you like the joke, let's have a couple more patrons on there, because every time a new patron joins Aries Studios, a detractor loses an erection. So anyway,
so
why am I here?
Why are you here?
Why am I still here?
Oh, you've grown small. Yeah. You've grown small. Let me make you bigger again. There we go.
Oh, I am big. I am mighty. So when I first found out about Axanar, I got excited in a way I hadn't gotten excited about Star Trek in a while. I hadn't really gotten that excited about Enterprise. I sort of did, and then Enterprise happened, and I wasn't. And we had not had Star Trek on television since 2005. We had the J.J. Abrams movie, which I felt was a bit of a letdown. We had Star Trek Into Darkness. The less said about that, the better. Pardon me. And suddenly, and I knew a little bit about fan films at that point. I'd actually been in one back in 1999. But Axanar looked amazing. And it was filling in this gap between the end of Enterprise and the beginning of Kirk's 5-year mission. And the ships, I love starship porn. I really do. And the ships were just amazing. They're like, okay, if the Kelvin verse is canon up until Spock arrives, then we have to deal with the fact that there was a USS Kelvin that looked like this. And like, okay, well, I can see this being a link between that and Kirk's ship. It worked. And to fill in part of this gap is why I'm also looking forward to Pacific 201, by the way. And by the way, if I had interesting and reportable good news from Eric Henry about Pacific 201, I'd be reporting on that too. Pacific 201's been in production as long as Axanar. It's not out yet either. But you know what? I am a total supporter of Pacific 201. I'm a total supporter of Axanar. I'm a total supporter of all fan films.
Well, listen.
The reasons I don't see... Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Did you want to say something?
Advertising.
What about advertising?
Sorry. Okay, go ahead. No, listen. I'm a huge fan of Pacific 201 as well, right?
Yeah.
Love
because it's filling in the gap.
Because I love Eric Henry.
Yeah, Eric Henry is a fantastic guy. He had a fantastic idea. It is 40 years after the Romulan War, and Earth is just about to start exploring Strange New World again, except that the people who were around 40 years before fighting the Romulans and dying in that war, like, it's dangerous out there. Why don't we stay here? And then there are these young kids who weren't around for the war saying, no, let's go out there and explore. And that sounded like a great idea. And Axanar sounded like a great idea. So I got on to this almost immediately. And I became, I think, your first groupie.
Well,
and
yeah, I wouldn't doubt it because, we were dribbling stuff out before the Kickstarter. Visual effects, basically.
Visual effects. You had some images. I had some shots of the actors from the filming. At the time, I was still a very active member of Starfleet International. By the way, folks, if you want to join a very good Star Trek fan club, Starfleet International, sfi.org. Just go there, join. I've been a member since 1983. The club's been around since 1974. So that's a free plug for Starfleet. Anyway, so I was putting together stuff for the Starfleet newsletter about Axanar. So I was getting all this stuff from Terry McIntosh, who used to be a good person back then, and he was giving me all this good stuff, and it was just one thing was better than the next, and it was just the logos, the emblems on the chest were great, and I couldn't believe how good this thing was looking. And then you released Prelude to Axanar, and we all know what happened then. It was an awesome fan film. And then you had your first Kickstarter. And this is one of those times where if you want to do your slideshow, bring up the memes. I think that's the third slideshow I gave you.
All right, so hold on one second, everyone. We may go dark here for a second because
you've gone silent.
Yeah, hold on one second. I'm going to get this up here.
Okay, well, if Alec has gone silent, maybe he can't hear me either, but I'll just keep talking.
Oh, I see what it did. Oh, okay.
Actually, what I'll do is
I'm learning this OBS software, so things are happening. I'm like, oh, hey,
you can hear
look
him.
at that. All right, so we're gonna add this. You want slideshow number 3? I'm learning this OBS software, so things are happening. I'm like, oh,
you can hear him.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna add this. We are going to. You want slideshow number 3? I'm learning this OBS software. Add. Okay. And we're going to, let's see if this works. All right. All right. So there you go. Let's see if this works. Can you see that? Yeah, there he goes. It's Jonathan. You see that? Okay, there you go, Jonathan. I'm sorry, I was on mute for a sec. You see, there you go. Right. There are your memes.
Yeah, that was very disconcerting. I don't know if the rest of you guys know this, but when I watch this on your feed, you're about 3 or 4 seconds behind Alec in my conversation. So when I stopped hearing Alec, I went back to YouTube and turned it up, and I was like hearing everything out of my mouth 3 seconds after.
Yeah, that's why I don't listen to YouTube when I'm doing this. I just listen to myself.
So anyway, yeah. So back when the Kickstarters and the Indiegogos were happening, I made these memes, which were all just kind of really cool, fun things. There's the George one that I love, and these are just. It was just there was so much love in Axanar. I mean, all the fans loved it. I mean, there were very few people who were complaining about it back then. Most of them were just blown away by it. And here I was at ground zero. I mean, I wasn't there when they made Prelude, but I went to the studio. Well, actually, I went to the studio before there was a studio. I went there. You participate when you put stuff in a warehouse. I helped you box up stuff. I don't know if you have that first slideshow of the photos back when we were first packing perks.
Yeah, hold on one second. I'm trying to load. Hold on one second. I'm trying to. Okay, that's not it. The first one. Here we go. Hold on one second, Jonathan. Let me add you to the.
Axanar was actually coined. I said, because Alec was trying to figure out what we should call ourselves, and Axanarians, Axanists, whatever, and I said Axanards, and he said, "That's it." Do you have the packing pictures?
Yeah. Why aren't they? Hold on. They should all be in there. Yeah, they are. Hold on. That's one.
I made this fantastic photo presentation here.
Yeah,
I'll help you out.
it's getting it into this. Let's see.
Here we go.
Hold on. Hold on. There we go. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, these are great memories for me. You know, I met Richard Hatch and had dinner with Richard Hatch. That was the coolest thing ever, by the way. And, I mean, just, you know, there we were at P.F. Chang's. Oh, and by the way, I guess I'm delayed, but those boxes, that was just a portion of the first perk packages that were sent out. And that was only like 1,000 donors. I mean, now we have like 10,000 or 20,000 different donors who have to get their packages. But, you know, that first time through, I helped pack that stuff. I remember I was rolling posters for, I don't know, 2 hours. And we were sorting patches and other things, whatever else we were giving away or mailing up. And, you know, everybody had a different grouping of things. You know, we were there for like, 6 or 8 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Of the pizza.
Yeah.
And, you know, so Axanar was this kind of, this grassroots thing. It was the same passion I felt back in the 1980s with Star Trek. And, you know, getting together with the fan clubs and, you know, going to conventions in costume and, you know, talking about the new episodes of Next Generation, even, you know, before they stopped sucking. And just, you know, just this such excitement about Star Trek and the people. You know, everybody who was part of Axanar was a great person. There was not one schmuck among any of you. You know, this was the days before, you know, Terry McIntosh had his, you know, little nervous breakdown. And, you know, so everybody was so positive, and it was just, it was a dream of everything that fandom could be when it was good. And as 2015 rolled around and you crossed $1 million, I mean, that was even more exciting. And then you started building the bridge set, you know, which, by the way, if you want to show the pictures of Jaden on the bridge, I can show you that, because this is another reason why Alec and I are friends. Are you bringing up the bridge set pictures?
Yep.
Alec?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Jaden came with me to help. You know, it was another perk packing day. Jaden at this point, I guess, was about 5 years old, and he loved Star Trek. And I wanted to. Well, actually, the thing was is that I had no choice but to take him with me, because Wendy was working that Saturday, and there was no babysitter, so I had to take Jaden with me. But I really wanted to show him this bridge because he loves Star Trek so much. And the first thing Alex said is, I don't want him going in there, because it's not that I don't want him hurting the bridge. I don't want him hurting himself. You know, there's some very dangerous stuff. The wood's piled up and everything like that. And I said, well, what if he's really careful and he's really good? And Alex said, okay, you know what? Keep an eye on him, and you can let him in there, but just, you know, be really, really careful. And Alec let Jaden play on his bridge and sit in the command chair. I mean, this is a dream of a little boy that I had 50 years ago, 45 years ago or whatever. And he got to do it. And it was funny, because after that, he actually thought that Alec was building the Starship Enterprise. He thought you were building the actual Starship Enterprise. It was going to fly and everything. He wanted to be on it. And, you know, you took us for lunch. You bought us burritos and a quesadilla for Jaden. You know, it was just a great experience. Everything about Axanar, for me, was positive. Until that moment in December of 2015, when you got sued. And when you got sued, the first thing that I wanted to do, and I think a lot of us wanted to do, was to try to show off the hypocrisy of CBS and to say, wait a second, there's like 150 other fan films out here. Why have you sued this one? And this is the beginning of the detractor movement, where the detractors were saying, CBS, they became warriors to protect CBS because a multi-billion-dollar company needs 85 or 100 different Facebook geeks to protect them. And they start saying that it's only trademarks that you have to enforce. So you don't have to enforce a copyright. You can sue anybody you want to. And I'm like, well, yeah, you can, except that it sounds like you shouldn't. And so Alec asked me to do some research. I was already writing a regular blog at this point for Axanar Productions. You asked me to write a blog about fan films on Fridays, Fan Film Friday. So I already had done, once a week, so that call about 24 of them. He said, go and write me up an executive summary about every single Star Trek fan film. I'm like, holy crap. But I did it. I mean, it took me 3 or 4 weeks, but I created this 100-page document for you. And to show to the lawyers. And to put into evidence to say, look, this, and ultimately, had it gone to trial, this would have been used to say, look, even if this was infringement, it wasn't willful infringement. Because it was non-willful infringement, because my assumption was this was okay with you guys. Because it was okay for the last 50 years, and you've never sued anybody else before. Why should I have thought I would be the first person to get sued? So, anyway, I started writing Fan Film Factor during the lawsuit, right at the beginning of it, and it was your fault, Alec.
Guilty as charged.
And it happened in late December, early January, just as the lawsuit was getting going. And we had some fan film folks that were saying, I don't want to be associated with Axanar. And what Alec felt like is that fan films shouldn't suffer because of this sudden, cover your ass, I don't want to be sued either, thing. And he felt like what I was doing for fan films was too important. And he said, look, the other thing is, you're writing one blog a week for me, and you could do so much more than that. And you can have interviews, you can have features, you can do it, whatever you want. It will be your whole website. And Mike Bawden helped me set it up. In fact, for a while it was hosted on Mike's server. I'd never done a blog before. I'd never used WordPress before. Mike taught me how. And I just started blogging, and I blogged about Axanar as well as all other fan films. At this point, I've written, I think, 650 different blogs. Maybe 10% are about Axanar. Is that too high? I don't know. I don't care. I write what I write. But, I also write about these other wonderful fan films. 90% of the stuff I write is about these fantastic people who are making fantastic fan films. Are they making fantastic films? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but they're making fantastic fan films, even the awful ones, because my prime directive, there's no such thing as a bad Star Trek fan film. And if you see a bad Star Trek fan film, refer back to rule number 1, there's no such thing as a bad Star Trek fan film. So that's what I do. I'm positive about all fan films, including Axanar. So when people say, you're not being objective, you're not reporting all the bad news about Axanar, you know what? I'm not reporting all the bad news about any other fan film either, because I'm not that guy. If you want that guy, go read Carlos Pedraza, because he will take the victory and turn it into the defeat. I mean, let me see if we have any more, Patreon signups, by the way. Okay, nobody liked my joke. Seriously, nobody liked my joke. You gotta have any extra. It'll happen later. I promise you. Somebody's gonna see this video and they're gonna say, I feel bad for John. That was actually a good joke. I'm gonna become a patron. But Alec managed to get in just. I mean, how long has this been up? Since January 20th, right? So it's February 4th now. It's been 2 weeks. And you were getting $1,256 a month from 139 people, which is almost $10 per person per month.
That's amazing. Yeah, and we are $20 behind. We are $18 behind Trek.fm. The long-standing Star Trek podcast network, which is awesome. Love Trek.fm. But here we are in, I don't know how long they've had their Patreon up, but we haven't had it for that, ours for that long. And we're about to become the number one Star Trek related Patreon. And because of amazing fans.
And I'm gonna actually check some. Mark Zicree, not that he has a Patreon, and he's had his, I think, since like 2012 or something, or not 2012. I don't know if Patreon's been around that long, but he's had it for a very long time. And he's got the goal of getting to $500 a month. Right now, he's at $277 with 23 patrons. And this is a guy who has raised almost $1 million for his fan film, which is called Space Command. And if you have not seen Space Command, go and see Space Command, because he's got an hour of it finished up of its 2-hour pilot, and it's awesome. And it has Doug Jones in it. Yes, Saru, Doug Jones. And it has Mira Furlan. Yes, that is Delenn from Babylon 5 in it. And he's got a whole... Oh, and Robert Picardo plays an amazing character. And he's got amazing special effects in this. And guess what? He's now talked to Netflix. This is a world premiere here, except that... news here, except that Mark already announced it a couple weeks ago. But he talked to Netflix. Netflix is considering picking it up. Is that not cool? A crowd-funded fan film, and he is on the cusp of having Netflix pick it up. Now, what on the cusp means, I don't know, but hey, he got the meeting. He came away with a, hey, we might be interested in this, as opposed to, thank you very much, we'll get back to you. He's also going to Amazon. He's going to Hulu. He's going to some of the other guys as well. But this is Mark Zicree. This is a writer of Star Trek. This is a guy who is Mr. Sci-Fi. He has a wonderful regular blog and podcast. He knows more about science fiction than probably any other living person on Earth. And he's trailing you by $1,000 a month. So the fact that you guys, Alec, are up to $1,256 a month and 139 patrons, Carlos wants to say, look, it's slowed down. Of course it's slowed down. Of course you picked 73 people up in the first day because a whole bunch of people wanted to donate to Axanar and hadn't had the opportunity in a couple of years. And it's slowed down, but guess what? It's still going up. I don't know if you have that graphic I sent you, Alec, of the graph.
Hold on one second.
You have
here.
That graph?
Let me find out what's happening.
Everything's just hidden.
My feed, I guess the feed's okay. It's just here. So let me just close that, and close that, and close that, and close that. And then let's get to, what did you want me to pull up? Oh, the graph?
Yeah, the graph. Show people the graph. It's a beautiful graph. And I got the graph from Carlos's website. So we can, give a tip of the hat.
All right, let me just bring this up here. Hold on a second, people. Let's desktop.
Now I see black. That's not good.
All right, let me hold on.
I had to do this. Oh, there we go. To me, there's nothing wrong with that graph. I mean, yeah, obviously it's not going as fast as it did in the first 48 hours, but I mean, if it did, we would now be making $1 million a month. So, it's where you want to be going. You don't want it to be flat, but at the same point in time, you don't expect it to continue going up infinitely fast. So for me, this is a good-looking graph. Of course, listen to what Carlos, I'm going to read what it says on the bottom here. Good news, bad news. He says, Axanar surrogate, apparently I'm a surrogate, according to Carlos. Axanar surrogate Jonathan Lane bucks up sullen supporters. That's a little Axanar alliteration. Because our supporters are so sullen, Alec. Did you know that? They're sullen.
Is that the way they are?
They're very sullen. You guys, you poor people. I want to give you all a hug. You're sullen. I can't imagine how used The dictionary and thesaurus on Carlos's desk are, because I mean all of these wonderful words that are just, and it's only the negative thesaurus. It's only like, okay, I need negative synonyms for this. So the sullen supporters, by pointing to the growing total monthly donations to Alec Peters' Patreon to keep Ares Studios afloat, as if it's going to sink. Meanwhile, Lane ignores the fact the rate of growth and the average donation have both slowed dramatically. Oh my goodness. Since the campaign began January 18th, 2019. So, yeah, it's slowed dramatically. It didn't stop, and it's still growing, and you are 1/3 of the way to your goal in 2 weeks, which means that you're not going to make it to your goal in a month. I'm sorry. But by the end of the year, very possible.
Yeah, and here's the other thing, is that so we're at 1,200 and change. We're making about that much on YouTube right now, right? So we're about $2,400 a month right now is what we're taking in from our YouTube and Patreon, which I kind of see together, right? The YouTube supports the Patreon, and the Patreon is there because you want to see us give you more content, and this all supports the studio, and it boggled my mind. I got an email the other day from some lady, and she was like, "Less YouTube videos, more production." I'm like, and I wrote her back. I said, "Well, ma'am, watch our video called "The Road to Production," and you'll understand why we're doing what we're doing." And she, it turned out she was a knucklehead and a hater. She said some really rude and obnoxious things. Okay, whatever. Look, it's, again, everyone's an expert. Where's your YouTube channel? Listen, it took 6 months for Stogie to convince me to have this YouTube channel. All right. And he kept beating me on the head. We're playing warships, and we're blowing up warships. And he keeps yelling in my ear about this YouTube channel. And I'm like, dude, I want to play warships. I'm here to escape reality, not talk about it. So it finally took that Facebook Live video blowing up to go, okay, so maybe there's something to what Stogie's saying. And so, and now, and now we're making $1,200 a month of our YouTube channel. But the thing is, so now we're almost at $2,500 a month. I think technically we are. I think we're at 1,300 trailing 28 days. That's enough to get us into our other facility. So when the small facility comes available, the smaller facility in May, we can move
still
there.
Being built, folks. It's still being built. It's just a hole in the ground right now. So
yes,
you can't move yet.
When we can move, and we're covered.
But because the detractors think you're being evicted on February 15th. That's another one of their interesting urban myths, that you're going to be kicked out on the street. It's like, well, no, you're not. You get to stay there until it's time to move to the smaller facility, or stay in the large facility if you can afford it, right?
Yeah, listen, their whole thing, they're listing the facility, Alec's getting evicted. No, assholes. They listed the facility because I told them I want to move to the smaller facility. I said the chances of staying in the bigger facility are small, less than 25%. And they were like, okay, so can we start showing the bigger facility? And I'm like, of course you can. So I knew they were listing it before the detractors did. So, but it's like everything in the world. And I think you step back, the bigger problem is, why do you care? Why do you care? Right?
It's a good question.
Your life is so pathetic that your only joy is getting online and talking shit about me and Axanar. How fucking pathetic is your life, Sean O'Halloran?
Because they have a noble goal, and that noble goal
is such bullshit. They've admitted themselves. They even admit to themselves that the only reason they do is because they hate me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is that they want to feel better about what they're doing, because what they're doing is basically just being dicks. And yes. Let's face it, this is a good, one of my thing. I know the detractors are going to say, you're comparing us to Muslim terrorists now. It's like, well, no, I'm not comparing them to Muslim terrorists. But one of the things about Muslim terrorists is that I think that deep down, they just want to blow things up, and they use Allah and everything else as an excuse to do that. Because there are very nice Muslims out there. I have friends who are Muslim.
Of course.
I have a friend who was Christian, converted to Muslim to marry a Muslim woman. but there are people who are dicks, who want to kill and maim and destroy and do that sort of thing, and they use this as an excuse. And for the detractors, they are inherently dicks. And not all of them, but most of them. A good portion of them. I mean, you can
listen,
do this if you
Jonathan,
to the
what,
page, yeah.
what is there in your life that you spend time online hating?
Nothing. Well, no, I don't even spend time online hating on Donald Trump. I don't like him, but I mean, I don't spend time,
I share important articles about what he's doing to our country. And I don't want to get political because we always say Axanar is political. And people say, why are you hating on Donald Trump? I'm not hating on him. Our political system is built on discourse. So that's it. But I don't hate on stuff. It's just, and I get sick and tired of all this geek outrage. So hatred is never created anything positive.
And these is the detractors.
Yeah, and the detractors are, I call them haters because that's what they do. There's no rhyme or reason to it. They want to hate. And then, of course, they're all such social misfits in that they all get together and they feel good about hating on me because, well, he's hating on Alec, so I'll hate on Alec. Really? And that's why you've seen so many detractors leave that group, because they're like, this isn't about Axanar anymore. This is about your hatred. I mean, they said it. We see it all the time. People will leave that group and say that's bullshit what you guys are doing. And it's cyber. Let's face it, cyber stalking. It's textbook cyber stalking.
They will attack anybody who agrees with you or anybody who stands up for you, and that's included some of their own occasionally. Some people who have left because they just sort of felt like, you're losing the focus here. I mean, suddenly they were all in the faces of the model kit, garage kit folks that were making models of Axanar starships because, well, you're violating copyright. We have to tell CBS and shut you down. Like, only because they're making it. This wasn't Axanar. This was a person who just wanted to make starships from Axanar.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about something besides Axanar haters.
Back to me and why I'm sticking with it.
Yes, let's talk about the positive.
By the way, before we talked about any of this, folks, Alex said, okay, I just want to talk about the haters like for maybe 10%, and then we're going to move on to other things. So anyway.
So that means it's got to be like a 3-hour podcast or a 3-hour video cast now.
So sorry about that. I'm going to be maybe about 15 minutes late for Jane's dinner. Give me another half an hour. But anyway, so for me, once the lawsuit ended, and even before the lawsuit ended, I love the Axanar universe so much that I just wanted to kind of play in Alec's sandbox, even though Alec's sandbox was just a very small sandbox within the Star Trek sandbox. But it was just this interesting reality to build in. And the first thing I did was actually during the lawsuit was a fun project with Mark Largent, who had done the Stalled Trek fan films, which are hilarious. They were basically Star Trek Muppets. And he had done this thing called A Mutt Time, where Spock is a dog. He's a Vulcanine. And he goes through heat. And it's hilarious. So go to Stalled Trek, A Mutt, M-A-M-U-T-T time. Just look for it on YouTube. You'll find it on Fan Film Factor. And watch it. It's hilarious. And I was interviewing him. And we were talking about Axanar. And he was so behind you. Alec, and it was all about CBS. Is just, why are they shutting you down? He's like, I'd so love to do a fan film where, like, they're trying to make Axanar, and while they're doing it, the CBS executives are like taking set pieces away and rolling them off, and they're like picking stuff up and carrying it off screen and whatever. And I said, what, I would pay to see that. And he said, well, I will do it if you co-write it with me. And I said, well, I've never written a script before in my life. And he said, that's okay. I'll do it with you. Within 36 hours, we had the most brilliant script. And by the way, Mark Largent is a genius. He is a comedic genius. It's like Mad Magazine, all of the gags in this. And I remember he gave me his first draft of the script. And I was reading it on my iPhone in a McDonald's while Jaden was playing in the place area. And literally, French fries are coming out of my nose. I am laughing so hard. And I made some changes and some suggestions, and he made some changes and suggestions. And like I said, within 36 hours, we had this amazing script. And it took 33 days for him to animate the whole thing. I recorded like 4 of the voices. And he had other friends recording like 4 of the other voices. And it became Prelude to Axanar. There it is. Which, by the way, I am drinking from the cup. Let me see what this looks like here. Yeah, there we go. So I am drinking from Alec's head and all the rest of them. So yeah, I made this. We're not selling it, just for me. But anyway, that was just it was our love letter to Axanar. It's actually won an award. It actually beat Axanar at a film festival in Berlin. Which was very funny. We were running against Axanar in the same fan film category, and we won. We thought that was a mistake. It was a typo, but it wasn't. So Axanar's won 70 awards. We won 1. But then I wrote an Axanar short story.
Right. First of all, you have to mention that when you first told me about Prelude to Axanar, you were worried I wasn't going to like it.
I wasn't telling you I was doing it, though, until we actually finished it.
Yeah, and so after you're finished, you're like, okay, I want you to watch this, but I please keep it on. I forgot what you said. It's like, keep it on, whatever. Yeah. And I loved it. It's amazing. It's amazing on so many levels. It's brilliantly written. It really captures everything that was happening during that time, during the lawsuit, right? The characters are hysterical. But above and beyond that, it's a fan film of a fan film.
Yep. It's a fan film parody of a fan film.
Yeah.
And it's a parody of CBS and the whole frickin' lawsuit. And, it's a parody of the entire copyright justice legal system and whatever you want to say. But, for me, Axanar was just really, really fun. I couldn't get enough of Axanar. And there's a fellow who's online right now. His name is Trey McElwain, and he decided to make an Axanar comic book, which honestly, that's even, that's as notable and labor intensive as making a fan film. Although I shouldn't really say that because Mark Largent did 90% of the work on Prelude to Axanar. But Trey did what he called the tip of the spear, and he did a quick little 3-page plus cover short story. And it inspired me because it was an Axanar comic book. And it was so cool. He got his friend Daniel Fu to illustrate it, and he paid Daniel to do it. And, it was cool. It was seeing these characters that, we had been, and it was a battle from the 4 Years' War. And so it inspired me to make my own Star Trek, or my own Axanar comic book, which I realized very quickly.
New patron.
What? New patron? Yeah, woo! Yay!
$20, just past Trek.fm.
Oh, wow. That was a big patron then. I love it. Now we're up to 141 patrons and $12.93 per month. We love you guys. I know you said Alec, but I don't get to say that because I'm usually just watching you. So anyway, I was going to make an Axanar comic book until I realized that what I was writing was just going to be too long for a comic book, and I didn't have enough money to pay for that many pages anyway. So instead I turned it into a short story, and this is where you might want to bring up the next slide. Do you have it? See, I'm on the delay here, so when I say, do you have it, I don't actually see it on YouTube for a couple of, for 3 or 5 seconds, if Alec brings it up. Are you bringing it up, Alec? There it is. Oh, too large. This was illustrated by an artist by the name of Mark McCrary. Mark is a wonderful person. I'll go back one. Oh, yeah, that's the other comic book's coming out, but can we go back? I guess we can't. We're just stuck. Well, anyway, and I'm delayed, so whatever I'm seeing here is okay. Anyway, but instead of doing a full comic book, we did a prose story with 6 illustrations in it. And you can get that on Fan Film Factor as well. So you go to fanfilmfactor.com. One of my things along the top, one of my my categories buttons is PDFs, I believe is what it's called. Let me make sure about that. Yep, PDFs. Anyway, it's right there. There's a PDFs of the comic books that are there. And anyway, so Why We Fight is a quick, 6-page thing. And, for me, it was fun to write that. And yes, I am also now writing an Axanar comic book itself. And it is going to be called Stardate 2245.1, which you may remember as the last Stardate in Prelude to Axanar. And it starts off from the moment that Prelude to Axanar stopped. And that story is an adaptation of a scene I wrote for Alec to try to explain what I thought was wrong with his script. Are you listening to me, Alec?
Oh, yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, I
I'm throwing something at the screen.
Okay,
sorry. I said yes. I'm listening. I was about to throw something at the screen.
Okay. And the story behind this is that when I read the adaptation of the 90-minute script down to the half-hour script, I noticed there were no bridge scenes on it, which absolutely horrified me. And I was like, so I was trying to give Alec feedback to what I saw, and I realized I was telling as opposed to showing. And I decided, okay, I'm just going to show Alec what I'm talking about. And so I proceeded to write a scene to explain what I was talking about. And before I knew it, I kind of had written an entire Axanar fan film, which at some point I will probably publish as just a alternate universe Axanar. But this one scene was really cool because it took this offhanded remark that Alec had in his script, where it basically explains why we don't have Ramirez in the next 2 Axanar movies, because Tony Todd did not want to do them. So basically, he gets wounded. I'm not really a big spoiler, but how does he get wounded? And I created this story. It's a short little story. It's going to be 7 pages of a comic book. And it was really cool. So I shared it with Alec. Well, first of all, I was just doing it as a comic book. Actually, I was originally going to do it just as a script, and I decided to do it as a comic book. And I shared it with Alec, and I said, is it okay if I do this? And Alec was like, sure. I said, can it be official Axanar? And he looked at it, and he said, okay, well, you know what? This one scene over here where Garth is doing such and such. I think he really, he's my character. I think I know what Garth would do. If he does such and such, I'm going to consider it canon for Axanar. And I'm like, sure, why not? It was a fairly easy adjustment to make. And so, when this comes out some point later on this year, it's going to come out before before the next 2 Axanar movies. It's going to be part of the Tip of the Spear series. So it's the same illustrator, Daniel Fu. You want to show Alec the next image there, the one that shows a little bit of Daniel's drawing style?
Yep, you
can bring that up. I tried to grab something without giving away too much of what goes on. And then we start playing the Jeopardy music. Are you getting it, Alec? By the way, I can't hear you at all if you're talking, but you're not talking. I can't see your lips move.
I wasn't talking, but now I am. So there's the page.
Oh, there it is. There we go. A little smaller there. How cool is that artwork, by the way? Those are, by the way, what will be the official Axanar uniforms. When I say official Axanar uniforms, I mean, the ones that were 10 years before Prelude to Axanar, which was Cage era. But 10 years before that, there are these cool uniforms, which Alex shared with me. And by the way, just to show you what kind of things we have to go through, what sound does the red alert klaxon make? if you had to actually write that in letters for the red alert klaxon, my artist and I went through about 12 different ways of spelling the red alert sound, and we finally got reet, reet. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's in there. But anyway, he just does a fantastic job. So I'm really happy about this. And, so for me, this is Axanar. This is its own little sub-playground. And yes, we're all waiting for you, Alec, to make Axanar, but some of us are not in as much of a rush as others. I don't mind that you're doing this the way that you're doing it, because I know that you want to do it right. As you said, you have one shot at this. And you need, as you said, $100,000 to $200,000 to do it, which is reasonable. Prelude was made for $85,000, right?
It was bad. No, we raised 101 and we wound up spending 120.
Oh, okay. Because you had like 85 when...
But, some of that was marketing and stuff. So, the actual production around 100.
Okay, so about $100,000. So realistically, to make two Preludes, about $200,000, maybe a little bit less. I mean, if you get 150, you could probably,
we can squeeze by.
You can squeeze by. Now that's going to be tough. I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can get to $150,000, especially since you're not going to be allowed to use a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo. You're going to have to do it privately. I'm going to try to help you in every way I can, but when all is said and done, this is going to be tough. So this whole YouTube channel thing, and by the way, Stogie, John Stogie, whatever his name is, he's doing amazing work. I mean, this is one of those things where key people left Axanar, but guess what? Key people joined Axanar as well. You got Paul Jenkins, who's going to be your co-writer and director, and he came on board, and you got Alec, you got Alexander Richardson doing your graphics, and there was Joe Campbell, who was print everything out for you, and Dana Simpson, who is building
Dana Wagner.
I keep doing that. Yes, Dana Wagner, who is finishing your bridge. And so, the thing is, key people, Carlos, key people are also coming. If you just point to the part of the glass that's half empty, of course it's going to look like it's bad. If you point to the glass that's half full, it's going to look good. I think it's 75% full, personally. But anyway, there's so much good happening. There's so many good people. I've met with these people. I've talked to these people. So once again, Stogie he's doing a fantastic job on your YouTube channel, because it is a money-making endeavor. It is something where you are bringing in money with your own content, not Star Trek content. You're basically podcasting and you're live casting, and this is getting money in. And that money is ultimately going to go to either keeping your studio afloat or making Axanar. Now, I don't know if that counts as public fundraising or not, but the fact is that you're not using a crowdfunding service. You're making your own Ares Studios produced videos. And you are taking in YouTube revenue, and ultimately you're going to be doing this on a private service. You'll be using Ares Digital 3.0 to bring money in.
Which is in beta, by the way.
Which is in beta. It's supposed to be ready by now. Hey,
I know.
Not ready.
Technology is never ready on time, especially when you're getting it for free.
Well, that's going to be all over Axamonitor tomorrow. I mean, Carlos is just going to say, okay, Alec missed another deadline. The sky is falling.
Oh,
Axanar is over. Alec missed the deadline.
Heaven forbid volunteers don't hit their deadline.
You didn't hit your deadline. But anyway, so, here's the thing. I want you to do this right. So if Axanar isn't made by Tuesday, I'm okay with that. But there's so many other people like, shut up, Alec, and make your fan film. Well, guess what? What you're doing right now is necessary to make the fan film. And it is just building up the loyalty. It is building up the donors. It is building up the excitement so that once Ares Digital is done soon, next Tuesday, I don't know, you can start taking in these private collection donations and eventually get to the point, and maybe it'll take you a month and maybe it'll take you a year. But as long as it takes you. Because, let's face it, there is no stopwatch running. There are no fan film police that are going to get you if you don't make Axanar this year or next year or the year after. I mean, I'd like it to be made next year or this year.
I'd like it to be this year, yeah. I'm not getting any younger.
You aren't. You're going to have to dye your hair, if nothing else.
I mean, geez. At some point, I'd like to get old and fat, I guess. Isn't that what you do when you're old? Yes.
Well, don't get old and fat yet. You just still have to.
No, I cannot be third season Garth, man. It's got to be first season Garth.
Wearing a Garth girdle.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, listen, yeah, and you hear that, and we talked about it the other day. I think it was on Real Trek. We talked about it, where you hear detractors say, "Well, Alec's never going to make Axanar." Really? I'm never going to make Axanar? Dude, if I had $150,000 right now, I'd be making Axanar. Let me tell you, if someone wants to give it to me, believe me, I thought about taking out a second mortgage on my house. But
now
I don't want
Colin's
to.
going to say, why isn't Alec just taking out a second mortgage on his house?
Right, yeah.
Answer that question. Why are you not taking out a second? You could do that. You said you could do it. Just do it. Stop asking anybody else for money. Stop having sushi for a year and just take out the mortgage. Why don't you do that?
Yeah, I think I've spent enough money on Axanar. I mean, I've spent over $150,000 on Axanar so far. At some point, that's got to stop. I mean, I've sold much of my Star Trek collection just to pay Axanar bills and studio bills and stuff like that. And I can't keep doing that. So,
Alex did want to take the money and run. He would have done that a long time ago.
Oh, my God.
He would have taken the money and ran when there was money.
I wish I was smart enough to close the studio down during the lawsuit and just we had $268,000 in the bank when the lawsuit hit. So when the lawyer said don't make anything right now, I should have just closed the studio down, put the money in escrow, and not and said, sorry, I can't pay the rent anymore, go rent to someone else, and then and we could have just put the sets in storage and but that's the other thing that I always love the fact that before the lawsuit, no one ever questioned us building a studio. No one, right? Before the lawsuit, because we were always upfront about it. Here's our choice. We can either rent a studio or we can build our own. And here's the difference. Here's what it made no sense. So we decided to build our own studio. And originally, and I'll post the photos, I'll post the photos on the blog. I've been writing an article about the first place we were going to build a studio, which was a dump, but you know what? It wasn't any dumpier than where Star Trek New Voyages was filming when I started with them. And it was $2,500 a month. It was out in Victorville by where Dean Newberry lived, who was our construction coordinator. And I was like, look, we can get this place for $2,500 a month. We'll clean it. We'll sweep it clean. We'll throw out. It'll be okay. And Christian Gossett was like, no, this place sucks. We need a nicer place. All right. So I looked for a nicer place, and the price kept escalating. You wanted to be in Valencia? There's nothing cheap up there. But listen, we told that, look at the Kickstarter. Look at the Indiegogo. We tell you, we're building a studio. Because if we rent a studio, we're just going to be throwing money down the drain. If we build it, then after we're done with Axanar, we can make other projects. We can make other fan films. We can make other Star Trek. We can do lots of different things. Right? And so people were investing in a vision of these guys that wanted to make Star Trek and continue to give people what they want, And people say, well, why don't you go make your own project? Well, we're going to after Axanar. Believe me, I can't wait to make my next project. It's so fucking awesome that I can't wait. But I want to get Axanar done. And we need to get Axanar done right. And if it takes 2 years to get $200,000, if we need to raise 50 and make 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever we can make, we'll do it. Then we'll do it. And then we'll show you what we got, and then we'll raise more money.
That's what a lot of people are telling you to do. But I know you're trying to do it. The one time first. So we'll see what happens.
Listen, I don't mind doing it in pieces.
I don't think you should make it in pieces either. Unless you, as you said, you have no choice but to do it. But a lot of people are like, but Alec should have known. This was so obvious. Who would? You know what? Jared Goff should have known not to throw that pass on third down that got intercepted. Okay, he should have known. But guess what? He threw it anyway. It was intercepted. The Rams lost the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. He screwed up. But you know what? He doesn't get it back. We do not have the Guardian of Forever to go back in time. Alec, you told me. You said I would have rented a studio. You just said I would have closed down the studio, gotten out of my lease. We all have regrets.
Sure.
We have to live with them. In 1993, I turned down a job working on Star Trek. Mike Akuta wanted me as his assistant. He offered me a job working in the scenic art department on Star Trek. And I turned him down. I turned him down because I had a business with my brother we had just started up. And I couldn't abandon my brother. And I was literally in Mike Akuta's office saying, I have to turn you down. And nobody understands why I made this decision. You know what? I can't go back and unmake the decision. And instead, Jim Vanover got my job, and congratulations, Jim. He thanked me for his house when I met him in 2005 on the Save Star Trek picket line, and I found out that he was hired in January of 2014, or not 2014, of 1994. But the fact is, you know what? I took the road less traveled by, and it's made all the difference. And my brother and I had a wonderful company for 7 years. We grew it from just the two of us to 20 people. We sold it during the dot-com boom. We got a handful of beans, which never grew into a beanstalk. We both got fired from our jobs by the people who actually hired us or bought us. It was the typical dot-com, anti-fairy tale story. But the fact is that for 7 years we had Camelot. And I can't complain about that. And you know what? You had a version of Camelot yourself. That studio was awesome. You did as much as you could with it with the money that you had. And you know what? Yeah, if you had it to do over again, you would have done it differently. But you don't. So you take what you have, and you're working it now. And you're doing what you can do. Yeah. The reason that I'm still here, by the way, and the reason that I'm still here is that you're still here. I mean, that's the answer to the question.
And we appreciate it.
I'm loyal. I'm loyal to Alec, and I'm loyal to the dream. I do not believe the people who say that you are an asshole, that you are untrustworthy. Okay? I choose not to believe that. Where I've seen you be an asshole. I know you can be an asshole. You've been an asshole to me. Folks, those of you who think that Alec and I have a loving relationship all the time, you have never seen Alec rage at me through IM. Okay, but the fact is, we're friends, and we get over it, and we continue on.
Yep.
And Alec has been very good to me. He's been very loyal. The thing about Alec is, you can say anything you want about Alec, never ever say he's disloyal. Okay, the only time Alec turns disloyal is if you are disloyal to him first. Then all bets are off because, you're being a dick. And I'm talking about, Rob Burnett at this point, and I'm talking about Terry McIntosh. And other people who have basically, gone off and have decided to say, okay, well, Alec is a dick, and let me tell you every reason why he's a dick. And these are people that, up until that moment, were saying Alec is the greatest thing since sliced bread. So,
and those are people that didn't deliver what they said they would deliver. Took money from the donors, and then fucked the donors. Or did not, and Terry McIntosh didn't take money. I treated him well. I flew him down to L.A. and stuff. But he was supposed to build out Ares Digital. He had 10 months to do it, and he never did it. So we had to get someone else to do it. We get someone else to do it. I'm the worst guy in the universe. All right. I'm sorry. Christian Gossett, same way. Had 10 months to rewrite the script. Didn't do it. Took $5,000. Didn't do anything. Had to go get, and then he quit. And then I'm the bad guy. Same with Rob. I mean, Rob owes us the Origins disc. Rob has all of our equipment. except for this computer, which he returned. But, and I'm the bad guy. Look, guys, if you're so unprofessional that you're not going to do the work that you agreed to do, that you took money to do, don't make me the bad guy. I'm not the bad guy. You're the bad guy because you fucked the donors. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. But, listen, this is Mike Bawden's teaching. I try not to talk about this stuff on a regular basis. Try and just carry on and do our thing. And, it is what it is. But, I dare so. I love Rob. Rob's out there on one hand saying, I shouldn't have this equipment. But on the other hand, I'm taking it. What? Or, yes, Alec lent me $30,000, but he's a schmuck. Oh, what? How can I lend you $30,000 so you aren't homeless, so you can pay your rent, so you can get a car, so you can come and work on Axanar, and I'm the dick when you don't pay me back? I don't understand these people. But you know what? The professionals who worked on Axanar, the professionals, the ones who make a living doing this, they all want to work on Axanar. Mark Edward Lewis, he's a top-notch sound guy. He's our editor now. He wanted to be an editor in the first place. He's a pro. He does it for a living. Bing Bailey, pro, does it for a living, made feature films. These guys, they don't fuck around. They're serious about what they do, and if they tell you I'm going to do X, they do X.
And also Gary, JG.
Oh yeah, look at these guys. They're pros.
Richard was your biggest fan.
Yeah, they're pros. And Milton Santiago, pro. He's not working on Axanar anymore. Wanted to do feature films. God bless him. Pro. Always did what he said he was going to do. Now, does that mean I haven't fucked up? No, dude. I fuck up more than anyone because I take more risks. I take risks all the time. Stability isn't something I seek out. Risk taking is. And if you build businesses, if you're an entrepreneur, you take a lot of risks. And I got news for you. You make a lot of mistakes. You do. And I was talking about with Curtis.
That is Garth's version of the risk is our business, folks.
Yeah. Risk is our business. If you're an entrepreneur, that's your business. You take risks. And sometimes you make the wrong decision. I've made lots of bad decisions. And you try not to make them the same bad decision twice, right? There are no lessons from the second kick of a mule.
Especially if it gets you somewhere. Right?
Yeah, but I've worked with. There's been so many awesome people that have worked on Axanar. Just so many awesome people. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I love it. I love it when the detractors call you my sycophant. I'm like, really?
Or Robert Exner, your sycophant. Yeah.
Dude, I got news for you. If I'm going to pick a sycophant, I'm not going to pick someone who's always arguing with me. How's that? I'm not going to be someone who's telling me when I'm wrong.
Truth to power. I mean, he chooses not to hear the truth most of the time, but I'm not going to tell him. And let's people not believe me about this. The first person who said, Alec, don't ban people from Facebook. It doesn't look good. It's not going to serve you well. Was me. Okay? And he said, screw you, John. I'm doing what I want. It's my Facebook page. You want to do something different on your Facebook page, you do something on your Facebook. And I do. And I do something very different on my Facebook page. So the thing is, we have had our knockdown dragouts. But the fact is that Alec, in my opinion, he inspires. If you're a supporter right now, and by the way, I just checked the Patreon, and we are now up to 144 patrons and $1,324 a month. So we've picked up 5 during this. So I guess my joke was funny. And for those people who came in late, watch the video again and listen to the joke. It's a really funny detractor light bulb joke, and then give more money. But thank you guys. By the way, this is exactly why I'm here doing this. I believe in the dream, and I believe in Alec. Alec, to me, is somebody who inspires. Now, detractors don't feel that way, fine. But the thing is, there's a lot of people who felt inspired by Alec, and that includes, by the way, J.G. Hertzler and Gary Graham and Richard Hatch, all of whom I have talked to in person. and heard them say, and in the case of Gary Graham and J.G. Hertzler, we have it on video, and you will be seeing it over the next few months as soon as we edit all this stuff from Axanar. But the fact is these guys cannot be more enthusiastic about Alec and everything that he did to make Prelude what it was. So those people who say that, Prelude was made even though Alec was incompetent because he hired all the right people. Okay? You know what? Not according to not according to JG and Gary. Okay? Now, they also had a lot of praise for Christian. And the fact is, I think Christian also did a fantastic job directing it. But guess who hired Christian? And guess who managed to do everything else and basically herd all of those cats and keep the dream alive and get all that money in? The fact is, Alec is an executive producer. Executive producers are not directors. They're usually not actors either.
No, listen, and that's the thing. I always love that line from the, a detractor will say, "Oh, Alec, you didn't do anything in Prelude to Axanar." Really? Because guess what? The universe is my idea. The story was mine. The idea to shoot it as a documentary was mine, right? The script was mine. The casting mostly mine. It's the when we were doing things like the Klingon costuming, mine. Vulcan costuming, mine. I did a lot of things. But that does. I never try and take away from what other people did. Hey, listen, Christian had a lot of failings as a director. I mean, he has no interest in being in the edit room, which meant Rob did all the work of a director on Prelude to Axanar. But on set with the actors, Christian's good. He is on set with the actors. Christian was good.
By the way, in all fairness to Christian, by the way, I was chatting with Rob a few months ago, and he said, there are two ways to direct. Directing basically hand in hand with your editor, and completely hands off with your editor. And he said there is no reason that a director has to hold the hand and be over the shoulder of the editor the entire time. It is just a different choice. And so Rob was not resentful of the fact that Christian was not breathing over his shoulder and allowing.
Oh, that's what he says now. No, that's what Rob says now. Now that he's no longer part of Axanar, that's what Rob says. Before, you should have heard Rob go off on Christian.
Okay.
Yeah, Rob was going off on Christian. Gee, he was never in the edit room. I was doing all the work. Listen, and it caused a lot of Rob asked Christian for his looks, for his cuts, which were the scene, which were the takes that that Christian wanted, and Christian never did that work. Bing Bailey hated it, Christian, for it. So the rewriting of history by Rob, yeah, let me tell you.
Okay, well,
he and Christian were not friends, and I got the emails and texts to prove it. So, but that's neither here nor there. Look, I don't want to drag that stuff up.
You know what? I'm very much, very spiritual. I am very much if it works out well in the end, who the hell cares? And the thing is that maybe Christian was never meant to be in the editing room because Prelude turned out amazingly well.
Well, that's because of Rob. That's because of Rob. Rob did a great job editing.
By letting Rob be Rob, by letting Rob basically edit it to his heart's content and do everything he wanted to without, an evil overlord, Prelude turned out amazingly. And maybe it would have turned out just as well or even better if Christian had directed it. We'll never know, or directed the editing. But the thing is it turned out really well. So I'm not going to complain about the fact that Christian directed the actors and then stepped aside. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but again, everyone contributed, right? This is the thing. There are so many people that contributed to Prelude to Axanar. Filmmaking is a collaborative effort. Yeah. And there were a lot of people you don't know that we never interview or whatever. Production assistants and gophers and whatever.
But you've never taken credit for everything. You've taken credit for much of it. But I'm going to tell you folks what Alec did that made Prelude possible. He didn't stop. Because here's what happens when you do a fan film, and now I've worked on a number of different fan films. And there's always at least one showrunner. There's always one person who keeps the engine running, keeps the fire burning, no matter what. Even if there's pouring rain outside, he is nursing that fire and making sure it does not go out. Okay, it was James Cawley. It was Vic Mignogna. It's Eric Henry. It's Tommy Kraft.
Yeah.
I mean, the list goes on and on. It's Randy Landers. It's Gary O'Brien, for A Chance Encounter and the Holy Core. It's Leo Tierney for Deception. I mean, these are the people where if you remove them from the equation, the fan film would never have happened because there was nobody else who wanted it more than they did, who had to make sure that it was going to happen no matter what. And that was Alec. Alec was the person who made sure that all the horses were going in the right direction, and then the horses did what the horses do. And he makes sure if they stopped, he kept them going. Sometimes with a stick, sometimes with a carrot, sometimes begging, sometimes pleading, sometimes yelling, who the hell knows. But every single fan film, I mean, it's happening right now with the Romulan War, Mark Nacarado. He is the reason that keeps happening. Samuel Cockings has been the force behind Temporal Anomaly since 2013, and he has never given up on it.
Mm-hmm.
He just keeps working on it and working on it and looking. And even after CBS said, no, you cannot make Temporal Anomaly, you cannot release it. He was the one who went to CBS and says, is there a way that we can still release it? I've worked so hard on it.
And you look at Temporal Anomaly and you say, CBS, why would you want this not to be released? How in the world does this do anything negative to the Star Trek franchise? It doesn't compete with you. It's a fan film.
But in CBS's defense, they did allow it to come out. They basically said, look, you got to pull out Picard and Riker and Worf because, you just can't use them. We're drawing a line there. Now that we've noticed you, you can't have our Star Trek music in there because we allow you to have Star Trek music. Now that we've noticed you, we have to allow everybody to have Star Trek music. But you already allow it. No, we haven't noticed those other fan films. Once we notice you, you have to get the music out. And so he had to get it rescored almost from the beginning. But once again, it turned out fine because his music, by the way, watch Temporal Anomaly, don't listen to anybody, and just listen to the music. It's amazing music. And you know what? At the end, CBS said, you know what, you can make it 50 minutes long. We're not going to hold you to the half hour. So you know what? Hats off to CBS for not being dicks this time. Maybe they're learning their lesson. I can only hope. Anyway, on that happy note, Alec, I have got to feed my son his dinner. So if there's anything else you want to ask me or tell me, do it now.
Get the hell out of here, dude.
I'm going to take one more look at the
You're insisting, pitching for Axanar and being so positive.
Guess what? 146 patrons. 140. We've added 7 patrons. We're at $1,352. So, Alec, just keep telling people to donate to the Patreon because, like I said, every time somebody donates to the Patreon, a detractor loses an erection. I want them to be flaccid.
All right. Well, listen, Jonathan, great to have you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I'm going to answer some of the fans' comments here in the comment section. You take care, and we will certainly have you back again. And next time we'll talk about the best fan films of all time, one of my favorite subjects.
Awesome. Alrighty. I'll see you then.
Peace. All right, people. Let's get rid of. We're going to get rid of Jonathan. Ta-da! Oh. Let me get rid of this. And there's a good question. There's a bunch of questions. God, I wish there was a way to record them all. So let's talk about some of the things you guys have been talking about while we've been jabbering. Okay. So someone asked me, Axanar, why do the uniforms look like those from the JJ Star Trek comics when the main characters were reverse gendered? Yeah, I know. I saw that comic come out and I go, hey, you stole our uniforms. So yeah, that's the reason why. They look like ours. I don't know. Did they look at Axanar costumes? I don't know. Why is Discovery set in the same time period that Axanar is? Why is it about a Klingon war that like Axanar is? I don't know. You gotta talk to CBS. So there's that. What else we got? Thank you. The comments about me is Garth. Thank you very much. I appreciate them. There's some talk about veterans. Thank you. All the veterans who are Axanar fans, thank you very much for your service and your sacrifice. And what else? Okay. Adega Outlaw, one of our regulars, Super Chat, $9.99. Adega Outlaw, you are the man. Can't get my Patreon to donate yet, so here is my pledge until it works. Why can't you get it to work? Adega, give me a buzz and we'll set up an account for you. We should be able to do that, okay? Talk to Stogie, get an email for me. Just message Stogie, get an email for me, and we'll hook you up on the Patreon, because definitely want you on the Patreon. You're awesome, and we're giving away like cool exclusive stuff on early views of the blueprints, the Ares class blueprints, and videos and stuff like that. So that's it. Let's see what else we got. Hold on one second, folks. I'm going to sign out and sign in here as me, as Star Trek again, so I can have admin rights, and then I can talk to you guys a little while longer. And we also have to give you guys the chance to buy some stuff for the puppies, right? There we go. Let me go here. And so please, now's the time to ask your questions, okay? Love to know what you guys think. Questions you have about what Jonathan said about Axanar, about anything. Alec, Jonathan Frakes should be put in charge of Star Trek. He's the best choice. Not a bad choice. Not a bad choice at all. I like that one. Ignore the fuckers. Thank you. Thank you for being vocal in our support. We appreciate it. Yes, there will be blueprints. Alec Peter, CBS along with Hollywood are creatively bankrupt. Your idea was a threat because they don't like being first. It's too risky, but preferred being second. Okay, maybe that's. Jonathan is kind of in with the Orville people, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe. Status of the puppies. Okay, Robert Duncan McNeil. Another good choice. I prefer Frakes, but Robert Duncan McNeil is another good one. It's interesting how many of those guys have turned into directors, TV directors. Robert Duncan McNeil, Bolana Torres. Why not keep knobs and switches, or was it just keep it closer to the times, or could you say it was experimental technology from a collaboration of worlds? Look, I just think there are some subtle changes we have to make when we advance the technology, right? And that was some of it. Getting rid of the knobs and switches because we're already in iPad touch world, right? So to go back to rocker switches didn't make any sense. I mean, the question is it going to be like Minority Report with, or it was in the Star Trek Beyond in the last one where they had those, right? The holographic screens. Nick Zoma just got done working out. Well, good, man. Way to go. Yes, we'll make T-shirts for each patch. That's a great idea. Maybe not each patch, but some of the patches. So, yeah, Stogie is all over me about merchandise for Ares Studio. So, it's coming. Okay, so now I talked a little bit about the puppies. So, how are the puppies doing? I've been talking to Susan. They were last time I checked, they were sleeping. And I'm writing a blog about them. But let me add here, so you guys can all see. I'm going to make this big screen here right now. I believe that's Coco on the right and Caramel. That's Coco, and you can see how emaciated they are. Poor little things. The good doggies are going on their pee pads, so that's good. This is if you say, why don't they have a doggy bowl? Because they can't reach over the rim. So this she puts out plates with water and food. Now that's Mocha, the last one right in there. Mocha is the sickest of them. But she's also the one, he or she, I don't know if it's he or she, also the one that got sick last, is what Susan, the foster mom, has been telling me. So she's not as healthy as the other two. Boy, Susan is doing an amazing job. She is feeding these dogs, and she has to give them subcutaneous fluids constantly. And they go to the vet, and she's taking such good care of them. So we are. I'm optimistic about. I'm optimistic about Caramel and Coco, and we're really crossing our fingers on Mocha because she's not as healthy as the other ones, and it really worries us. But Susan is just doing such an amazing job. I can't say enough about her there. So thank you for Susan doing that for us. I mean, she's just doing the Lord's work there. Let me just give you also one. Let me just give you another photo that's adorably cute. It's right here. All right. Oops. Oh, can you see that? No, it's. Why is it upside down? It should not be upside down. Okay, hold on. I don't know. Oh, why is it upside down? All right. That's weird. That's weird. Let's try that again, huh? Because it's an adorably cute photo of the puppies. For those of you who are new, there's 4 puppies in Texas. Well, there were 4. One passed away that we rescued. I'm big into dog rescue, and I saw a photo, since many of you have seen, and I'm going to put it up on our. So some of you have seen this already. For those of you who haven't, it's a way of explaining what we do, why we do it. These are the little puppies. And I saw this on Facebook last week, and it just struck at my heart. And I said, we cannot let these puppies die. We got to take care of them. And so I was talking and networking with the people on the thread. And one person was willing to foster him, and I said, "Go get him. I'll give you my credit card. Take him directly to the vets. Let's get him healthy." Sadly, there were 5 puppies when I said that, and the next day when they went to get him, one had passed away. So Susan took him to the vet, fostered him, and one was getting very ill, so she took it back to the vet, and the vets checked that dog in. They gave me a bill. They said, "It's going to cost you $1,100 for 3 days." I said, "Fine." Put it on my credit card, and sadly, that one who was named Latte didn't make it. So we're down to 3 in the video you just saw. So, Sean Lane says, "Poor things, did they catch the person who did this?" No, it was some fucking asshole who has a dog who he didn't get fixed, so it had this litter, and he dumped the puppies at the shelter, he or she, and it's just disgusting. This person should be. I don't even want to say it. It really is disgusting. So anyway, you saw the puppies. Here's some more photos of them. We are doing everything we can. Susan is amazing foster mom. She's really just doing amazing work, constant attention to these puppies. Okay, that's what she's doing, and we're very thankful for her for the work. I'm gonna know what I'm going to do. I'm going to. Let me give you the slideshow from the other day, just so you see, because right, here we go. Let me resize this. This is the puppies. These are some more photos of the puppies, so you can just see. They're tiny. And we're taking care of them. What we're doing is we're raising money for these puppies. We're selling Axanar swag. All the money goes to directly to vet bills. the other for the Super Bowl party yesterday, we raised another $800. You guys were amazing. And $10, £10 super chat. Who's that from? That English gent. Boy, you are amazing. You're a regular. Idea for a story, late TOS era where the war with the Klingons never ended. Difference is that in the universe, shield technology doesn't work, so all the ships are heavily armored like BSG. Thoughts? Yeah. Wow, I have a lot of thoughts about that. And we're going to talk about combat in the Axanar universe, and we will talk about just that point, English gent. So, that's alternate universe. You know me, I love alternate universes. So, anyway, I don't know how many of you have been here before. So here's what we're going to do real quick, because I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, and it's coming up on 2 hours, so we want to get out of here and get you guys out of here. Is if you want to support, I've got a couple things here we're going to sell, and then I'm going to be away. I'm not sure we're going to be doing Real Trek on Friday. It depends on my connection down in Charleston. So we won't be. It's going to be tough to raise money for the puppies, but I'm going to try. I'm going to show you some things we have here. The first is the patch set, which you see on screen right here. If you want to give us, for the puppies, $100 and $3 shipping, $103 via PayPal to Stogie. Put up the address. It's auctions@protworks.com. 100% of the money goes to the puppies. Yesterday, we raised $800 during the Super Bowl party. And at night, I got a phone call from Susan. They were at the vets, and the bill was almost $800, $740 or something like that. So the money goes fast. Anyone who wants these patches, this is the complete Axanar patch set. And what it is I will show you the second row there are the patches, the ship patches. So it's the Ares class development, the Ares, the Ajax, and the Hercules. The second row are the fleets, the first, second, third, and fourth and fifth fleets. The fourth row, I guess it is. It's not really a row up top. The top is the first strike squadron. It says wherever you go, there we are. And then the veteran patches down below, first and second campaigns. Axanar, it's the Starfleet procurement and Starfleet disaster response patches, which we did for a family that had its house burned down years ago. So it's $100 for 14 patches. So what does that come out to? $6 a piece, $7 a piece, just over $7 a piece, which is a smoking deal. All the money goes to the puppies. All right. These puppies need us. We got to take care of them. And okay. So here's the, if you're interested, just say mine. And there's where you go. Make sure you include your address. Make sure you send it friends and family so we don't get charged a fee. Okay? And include address and what you are donating for. Okay? It's 14 patches, Stogie, not 15 patches. The Ares patch is included in there. Oh, the studio patch, huh? You want to give them the studio patch too? Okay. Well, then we'd have to give everyone who gave before a studio patch too, and we can't keep track of that. So $100 is a smoking deal for 14 patches. Anyone, if you want something else, if you want to just, we also are selling, if you want a patch individually, $10. Any patch, $10 individually, and we'll go $10 or 2 for 18 or 3 for 25. How's that? Okay, so $10 each, 2 for $18, 3 for $25. Include $1 shipping, no matter, if you 1 to 3 patches. Just send us a PayPal, tell us what you want, and if it would be interesting if there was a captain of chief engineers of an Ares class ship. Interesting. By the way, Trey McElwain, who does Axanar Comics, is a vet tech. He's been helping us. He's been advising Susan on the puppies. By the way, Trey, make sure you touch base with Susan tonight. Just ping her, and check in with her, make sure everything's going all right. Just that, we want to make sure we get them across the finish line here. They're so adorable. We just do not want to lose another one. So, Trey, please get in touch with Susan. Alec, how many worker bees do each Ares class ship have? No idea. I need to talk to Alexander Richardson because he's the one. He's the one doing that. So before we go, other things we have here. Kate Vernon autograph, $30. I will throw in an autographed Garth photo, and I'll personalize it to you. If you want those, $30 plus $5 shipping. That's another thing. And I got two special things tonight. Hold on. We're going to break these out. Because we know you. Where did I put them? Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. I got two. All right. Eagle Moss. We all love Eagle Moss. I just got my Eagle Moss Viper Mark 1. Here's the Discovery. If anyone wants the Discovery, okay. $50 plus $10 shipping. If you buy the Discovery, okay, I will throw in the Ares Studios patch. Okay, so $50 there. Oh, and if you buy the Discovery, I'll throw in a DVD of Silent Running, one of my favorite movies of all time. If you haven't seen it, it's amazing. You got to see it. It's just 1972, I think. But I'll throw that in with the Discovery. If you want it, say mine. $50 plus $10 shipping includes the Ares patch. There's an engineering patch on the Patreon. Oh yeah. This is for Patreon. This is for Patreon only. This will be going out to Patreon. Everyone who's giving $20 on Patreon. After 2 months, you get this patch, which is the USS Ares construction. And then what else? Oh yeah, and then Cylon Raider. Anyone wants the new Cylon Raider? $50, $10 shipping. I will give you an Ares class patch with that one as well. So there you go. That's what I got. What else do I have? Oh, how about this? I haven't offered this before. Squadron Strike. This is the game. This is it's kind of like Starfleet Battles, but really, it's like really super simulatory. It's like, I mean, this is for serious gamers, this one. And this one has the Axanar supplement in it. Yeah, there's actually an Axanar supplement. So the ships are Axanar ships. I've seen them play it. It's awesome. It's an amazing game. It's $75 plus $10 shipping if you're into it. And anyone who buys any of those things tonight, the two models or the Squadron Strike, I will hook you up with the Ares Studios patch. Okay. $5 super chat from Zarkon de Grissom. Is a Klingon D6 Klingon patch third row left of the Starfleet patch? No. There's no Klingon patches. Sorry. But thank you for your super chat. Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. Shane Freud, Silent Running is one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time. Yes, it is. Battlestar Galactica is amazing. Yes, we all know. It is amazing. Where are the Asia class ships and the Old Valley Forge class? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't like the design on Discovery either. Thank you for your sophisticated shark. Thank you for your compliments. I hear my little dog outside. It's probably time for me to get going. No, we don't have anyone buying any thing for the puppies tonight, huh? What do I got to offer? Hey, how about this? How about you guys tell me what you want for me to get, so you guys will donate more money for puppies, right? Maybe I'll bring some T-shirts. How's that? T-shirts this week. Zarkon de Grissom, another $5 super chat. What patch is the Hexagonish? That's the Tellarite. That's the Fourth Fleet, which is Tellar. So that's what that one is. We actually designed a House of Karn patch too. So there is that. Yeah, tell me what you guys want us to get, and we will get swag that we can sell you guys that give that money to the puppies. So we're going to wrap it up now because it's 2 hours, and that is long enough for me to be yapping. You guys have been great as always. Thanks to Jonathan Lane for coming by and talking Axanar with us. Stay tuned about Real Trek. We're going to try and get it done on Friday. I am in Charleston, so I have to make sure my bandwidth is okay to get it done because I will be on my laptop. So that's it. Need questions from you guys? I would love questions in advance. A puppy calendar. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Anyway, hey, Scott Voigt, thank you. Everyone, live long and prosper. Thank you so much. Any questions you have, you can look me up on Facebook. Find me on the Axanar fan group on Facebook, or you can leave comments here on YouTube, but it's a little harder for us to get to them. But make sure you get me on Facebook. And that's it. Think about what you want for swag, and I'm going to start pulling stuff out of the studio. And next week we're going to have a big old sale. All sorts of stuff, comic books, graphic novels, all sorts of geek stuff, models. Great. I mean, really cool stuff. So bring it on next week, okay? All right, man. Thanks.